Like this. Yes.
Yes, because there is wind, it's difficult to hear. Okay, record the video. Sorry. No, just you have to explain. It's you. For the mic.
Here.
When you change.
Yeah.
Because there is wind and we record the video, so it's difficult. We can hear.
If you don't. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Almost there. A little over halfway. Hope you're all doing well. Okay, so thank you. We're unlocking brand potential in emerging platforms panel with us today. I'm going to come down the line and let our panel introduce themselves. Jörg, I'll start with you.
Yeah, thanks that I can be here with you and the audience. My name is Jörg Richartz. I'm part of Deutsche Telekom MagentaTV. I'm heading marketing and sales in that unit. That means it's a combination of a B2C job and a B2B job. B2C, just our standard business, bringing customers to the platform. And the B2B part is the advertising part, so marketing our own inventory and also do some deals with publisher partners on the platform.
Super busy.
Yes.
So my name's Joe. I work at Titan OS. I'm the SVP of Advertising and Retail Media. I focus predominantly on European advertising agency partnerships, and I'm also leading our retail media proposition with retailers and manufacturers.
Joe, just a quick one, sorry. Could you just explain what an OS is, just in case anyone doesn't know?
So a TV operating system, essentially we power the TV. A bit of background, we currently power over 18 million TVs across Europe. Our first partner was Philips. So we enable people to interact with the TV. We create the home screen. We also create an EPG, an electronic programming guide, which has in each market around 70 to 80 fast channels. So these are TV channels where you can watch content to your heart's content 24/7, and they work exactly in the same way as TV channels. So we power those channels, we put apps on the homepage, and we power the whole device.
Brilliant, thank you. Ty.
Hi James, how you doing? So Parry, I'm the Chief Strategy Officer here at Equativ. I look after basically the teams that oversee how we provide the technology infrastructure to the likes of Magenta, the likes of Titan and Sony PlayStation and others to basically create that fusion between the ad delivery, the ad decisioning, the audience insights and actually the interactivity with the user. So for us it's about actually how do you fuse the operational side and the delivery and decisioning of the ad with actually a respectful, engaging ad experience for the consumer.
Brilliant, thank you. All right, so if I take the title, Unlocking Brand Potential in Emerging Platforms, I want to jump in, Jörg, straight away with you. Joe gave us a really good intro of what an OS is, and Magenta and Deutsche Telekom, I think fair to say, are more traditional media businesses. So what is an emerging platform and what does that mean for your business and what you're launching?
Yeah, so I could really check in with your explanation of an OS. That's also a platform, how we see it, and we also operate a platform. It's an entertainment platform. Maybe in case somebody of you doesn't know MagentaTV, so we are a 360 TV platform, same as Titan. We are operating actually the user experience for TV users, combining linear TV and VOD. So actually we have a platform that combines not most of, but the most channels. In Germany, nobody has more channels than we have. Plus, we have curated deals with Netflix, Disney, Apple, and all the brands that you know, and combine that into tariffs for our customers. We have 5.3 million customers currently on the platform, and what we understand as an emerging platform is actually what we are. So we are still growing and adding more and more customers to the platform. We are also adding more and more ways to interact with our platform, so more clients. It's not only that we sell our own hardware, so the boxes that you connect to your TVs, but we also are available as an app on different OSs. not on Titan currently, but that will
We
come.
will be. We will be.
We start with Samsung, and we are on LG, and then we go down the line. We are emerging, we are growing, and we use that growth to also implement this B2B business model. So to give advertisers the chance to participate of that growth, that interesting audiences, and the data that we have. It's first-party data for sure, as a telco operator, that we can use to target or to offer targeted campaigns for the advertisers.
And with those advertisers, the way you describe that, you're able to give them a much deeper experience, get much closer to your audience, and then build those advertising experiences directly with them. Is that fair description?
Yeah, sure. So what we are currently, the path on that we are currently is building together with you guys. You're our tech partner, edtech, so to say, system infrastructure to our platform. Combine that with the data that we have. We have the Emetric, that's a subsidiary of Deutsche Telekom, as a data partner, and they offer segments that can be general segments, but can be also customized segments. To enable this targeting and so to say the use of the audience, and we are also able to then extend these segments from the TV platform into other inventories, be it online, be it out of home, so whatever it is asked for.
Okay, really interesting, and you can really start to see how platform takes on a very different meaning, as you know, we already jumped straight into something that's different from the title. Ty, if we look at sort of an Equativ business which reaches out to a lot more advertisers and buyers, and you take Jörg's description of advertising opportunities and closer to audience, what do you think, how does that work in your area of business, and do we measure it on reach, or are we looking at something else? What do advertisers want to achieve?
So I think from our perspective, the sort of the three key things that really define what a platform is, or an emerging platform, well, in fact, even before that, they're really the growing alternatives to the walled gardens. And I think they really have to have three things that really define who they are. So reach is important, but I would class it as scale more importantly than reach. Scale is a combination of reach, but actually what's the quality of the engagement, what's the total engagement time, what's the depth and breadth of that advertising opportunity. I think the second thing is, fundamentally you have to have deep audience insights, and deep audience insights comes from fundamentally a strong trust relationship with the consumer, and that's at the heart of them being able to capture deep insights, which then capture the signals, which enable the tech partners such as us to be able to deliver compelling, targeted, personalised ad experiences. And then I think the final thing that really is important in sort of the platform experience is the breadth of creative experiences to support upper funnel, but increasingly more lower funnel capabilities, and the ability to have, or at least support, some form of closed loop attribution, whether that's linking back through to retail data and retailers' sort of sales activity, but actually linking that through to the information that we have as part of the trusted relationship that these platforms have with their consumer base. Whether that's actually interactivity in the ad and actually being able to have some form of commerce experience in the platforms. For me, these are the three things that sort of combined mean that you're creating a platform experience that can serve advertisers in many different aspects of their overall strategies to engage consumers at scale.
So I wondered how long it would take before we got to sort of closed loop attribution and commerce on the TV screen. So we may as well just jump straight in there. And Joe, Titan's business, you have a number of retail partnerships, data partnerships, I believe, and real ambitions in this space. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we do. I'd just like to jump back quickly because it'll help me contextualise the answer. About being a platform and I think understanding your audience. Our view on TV is that it's changed fundamentally over the last few years. TV traditionally has been essentially run by third parties, lots of disparate third parties. And from a consumer perspective, that means that you have a different experience depending on what channel you go to, what app you go to, whether you use Sky in the UK or another broadcaster in a different market. And it also means from an advertising perspective, it's very difficult to track that audience behavior as they go through the TV. What we're able to do now as an OS is we can, from a consumer perspective, put the right apps in the right place to make sure, because we know what the consumer likes, to make sure their experience is more enjoyable, because there's lots of content out there and sometimes it's a bit overwhelming. From an ad perspective, we're able to track what that user does across their entire TV journey. So we know what apps they're engaging with. We know what content they're watching on broadcast TV. We know what ads they watch on the apps they engage with. And we can build up a really intimate picture of that audience. So traditionally with TV, if you're an advertiser, you're buying a panel-based audience who might be a 16 to 34-year-old male. What we can now do is enable someone to buy a specific interest group, someone who's interested in football or cooking. And it means we can be much more targeted. To answer your question, sorry, I'll stop talking in a minute.
Thanks.
So we have built that enormous kind of pool of data about our customers. What we've now done is we've started working with retailers to compare that data with their insight into their own customers. Currys is an example in the UK. We know exactly how many of our TVs Curry have sold, so TVs with our operating system on. We can match that through a TV ID. Currys then know all about that customer. So the same customer who's bought one of our devices might also have been browsing for a console or for a blender in the last month. We can pull that information together and create a highly targeted advert for the brand. And then it becomes really about targeting and less about scale, because it's then all about the cost per acquisition for the brands. And they'd much rather reach a smaller number of people who are in market rather than a huge amount of people who they're going to be buying a lot of wastage. So that's really our retail media proposition. And what we're doing with Equativ is we're trying to look at how we can make those ad formats much more engaging and close the loop, so that once we understand where a customer is, we need to then understand whether or not they've gone on to make a purchase. And if they haven't, why, so we can go and reach them again.
Very quickly, before we just dig into that a little bit more, in the audience, could you put your hand up if you've bought anything off your television? Okay, so no one. Well, there's maybe half a hand at the back. Yeah, I think you're thinking about it, right? Okay, content subscriptions. I'm old enough to remember when we talked about mobile and people would say, I'll never buy a flight or a holiday off my mobile. And I think that's changed. I think we've completely changed our behaviors. So if I bring it back to the panel, and Jörg, let's start with you. Joe talked about a closed loop retail system, ad formats for people to acquire or make commercial acquisitions. And you talked a lot about a more of a personalized advertising experience that you could bring to your B2B customers. So do you see the same opportunity, and what does that mean for formats? What is the creative that we run in with these advertisers?
I think that's a different angle that you so to say where you are right advanced or more advanced than we are, so we are not pushing too much in that direction, but we see it as a potential. We also have some use cases where we try to connect data with data of advertisers, for example. So just as an example, last year in the Euro World Cup, not the World Cup, the Euro Cup that we had exclusively on our platform, we had a campaign together with a do-it-yourself company where we gave them the data of the customers that saw their ad in our program, and by the data they could then, so to say, extend it on a zip code level into out of home to reach their frequency cap. That was a really nice showcase that we had, but shows in which direction we want to go. So we want to make use of the data that we have as a telco operator, not only as a TV platform. For sure, we also have all the viewing patterns. We know how the customer or the user walks through our platform, which content he uses, which packages he bought, etc., etc. And by that we can also do some, so to say, build some segments and affinities. But we want to go that path down the line with the telco data that we have. So the personal data, what's the family, so to say, pattern, how much people live there, what's their income level, so all the stuff that we know as a telco, and offer so that this type of insight to the advertiser to better reach the target group. However, as I said, I think this your question into the audience, this commerce idea is also an interesting idea that we want to explore, but we are not there yet, to be honest.
I think that's well, the audience just demonstrated. None of us are really there yet. And Ty, how do you see that when we engage with the market and advertisers, and what do agencies want to buy? Are they asking about this space?
So they are. I think it's super exciting. There's not quite yet the standards to make it scale, but I think there's some significant innovation coming in this area, like from ourselves, from some of the partnerships that we have, to make this programmatic rather than what has historically been a sort of a very much bespoke solution on a one-off occasion. And I think now we're getting to a stage where actually by the end of this year you're going to have the ability to do this fully programmatically with adherence to some of the standards that are coming both in creative formats, but actually how data is overlaid into that, and how that plugs into potentially sort of catalog or SKU based products. That's going to happen. That's going to happen, within the next 6 months. There's definitely the demand. The question is sort of what's the lag between the sort of strategic intent, the willingness to POC, and actually it becoming scale. I still think we're probably a year away before that starts to really happen at sizable scale. But if you don't start it, it never happens. So you have to start somewhere. I think some of the other innovation for me, though, is and both of these two businesses are in an incredible position to do this, is just creating simple linkages between the big screen and the device that you have in your hand. I think that's super, super powerful, and actually using that as a mechanism for a little bit more of the linkage between the ad exposure on the TV and the opportunity to convert. I think that's really important.
So the big screen to drive the engagement, or the interruption and the notice, and then the small screen for the engagement and the execution.
Exactly right.
Would you both agree with that? Jörg, start with you.
Yeah, so I would agree, and that's a direction that we already tried to implement. So we are also a mobile company, so we have a lot of mobile penetration into our customer base. Also integrated customers, so that's customers that not only have the TV product from us, but also our own mobile proposition, which is not necessarily the case. But we have a high penetration, and we have a loyalty app on our devices called My Magenta app. And we have Magenta Moments, which is a loyalty program where we do put offers to the customers, and we could easily combine advertising sales into our program, then together with deals that we push through that mobile. So that goes, I think, into the direction what you are saying. But the driver for us is always, and I missed that to say, that we have so much exclusive inventory on our platform that makes it really interesting for the advertisers. It's mainly sports actually, but it will be extended fast channels as you also have. We also want to have, and this drives actually the contact to the advertisers.
Yeah, I think we should remember as well that we talk about the big screen, but the TV still plays a fundamental part in all of our lives. Really, on average, we find that people spend 4 hours a day on their TV. That's a lot of time, and I think probably older than everyone actually, apart from maybe Jonathan at the back, so he might remember this example. But in the UK we had something called teletext, and 20 years ago you would look at flights. That's where you'd find your holiday
on arrival.
Exactly.
Well, allocation on arrival.
Exactly. So yes, yeah, exactly. Potluck. But you'd see it on the big screen, and then you go and make a phone call to book your flight. So it's not a new behaviour, and I think we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that it's incredible we've got all this data now. We just need to, but consumers are used to interacting and engaging with the big screen. It's just maybe in a different way now.
I think maybe if
yeah, please.
Conscious I didn't fully answer your initial question, but in terms of sort of what we hear from advertisers and what they're really interested in. So I think the creative experiences that we talk to is definitely compelling. We're seeing a lot of requests now for just adding more opportunities that are complementary to the sort of the in-stream experience. So pause ads is definitely something that has been requested a lot. I think also ad experiences that are complementary to the content overlays, I think, are becoming now mainstream, or at least they're becoming from a brand perspective. If they have the capability to do this at scale, it will become mainstream quickly. So I think they're two key things, but one of the things that I think is really powering this to work at scale is actually putting the audience planning data in the hands of the advertisers and the agencies, so that they can understand the contextual environment and the audience environment, and then plan and execute against those two things. And I think that's where, you know, the likes of Magenta and Titan and Sony PlayStation and the travel networks of this world have a real opportunity to sort of really drive value for the brands by putting those insights about context and creativity together.
So if we just explore that, and I also want to go a little bit back, because Jörg, you as a telco, you talked about the link between your ability to have handsets and also televisions with the same audience. But Joe, as an OS, that's a bit harder because you don't have those mobile devices or contracts. So if we take Ty's point, right? So this is my question. So if you take Ty's point about planning data and execution, and we're starting to talk about having two screens, you keep your television screen, but your handset becomes somewhere where you execute. How do you think about that? What does that mean to the advertiser? How do you play it forward with the audience into multiple screens? Is it just a QR code and hope and pray? I know it's not. So set me up.
I think it's short term. Using a QR code is an option, and overlaying that on an existing TV creative and taking all the hard work away from the advertiser. Using our data is an option, and I think it will work. I see a future where maybe a mobile device replaces the remote control, and you could actually control the TV using your mobile phone, and the screens almost become synonymous with each other. I don't think that's in the too distant future, actually, and I think that will create a huge opportunity, not just for content owners, but also for advertisers and for shoppability. I think QR codes are fine, but it's still something. The more barriers you take away from the consumer, the more acceptance that this will have. And I think mobile as remote is probably the way that we will engage with people via mobile phone within the next 2 or 3 years.
Can I add on to this one? Because we also tested several use cases with QR codes. And we saw that the performance is not as we expected it to be. So it's, as you say, the break of the media. So just you have to take your device and make a photo, then go on the web page. So this is just too long. So what we try is we try to integrate the sales process more into our platform as such, and then you can also easily use the remote control. You just have to, as always, you have to put the right trigger in the right moment to that person to do the sales. And that's where we are currently working on and exploring different testings to find out, so how does it really work.
There's many routes we could go down from here. Like we're opening up how to use the multiple screens, what the engagement paths are. If we bring it back to, let's call it more traditional sort of advertising, reach, frequency, measurement. When we talk about television advertising, when we talk about audience engagement, these are terms that we've traded on and used for years. So, Jörg, what does it mean? What do you think advertisers are looking for? What do we think the measurement will be in this space? Is it going to be reach again? Is it going to be more of an ROI structure from the QR code example we just talked about? Something entirely different?
Yeah, so measurement is, it's a big topic.
Yeah,
we could discuss long about that one. So as of now, there is a standard in Germany, as in most other countries, how measurement really works. However, when we discuss with the advertisers, we know that they need more deeper, more accurate data. Let's put it that way. And as a platform, same I think as you, we have really accurate data: who watched what, when, how long, etc., etc. And so how we do it currently is we try to combine this information. So still there is this official currency of measurement, but we give more data to the customer, so to bring him to our platform and spend the money on our platform in our content. And we also do that by, so to say, extending in terms of data products. We have a product that's called TV Reach Plus, so where somebody can buy actually the information. So is the frequency cap achieved on a certain program? It's not our content, so we can select any kind of broadcasting service and measure how many customers have seen this and that spot, and then we can retarget this customer, this explicit customer, in a different format. So that's the way how we operate currently, as we are not in the direction of building our own official currency. That's not what we do.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I think official currencies, that's you can't mark your own homework. We've had that discussion for about 15 years. Joe, how do you see it? Same question. Are you taking a similar approach or something different?
No, I think we are taking a similar approach. I think we, as we've discussed, there are so many more targeting opportunities now for brands with TV. I think we need to be careful that the industry doesn't rush into attribution like we did slightly with online, because a TV is not a laptop or a mobile phone, and I think TV has worked enormously well for 50 years in building brands. And brands are built not on attribution, they're built on awareness, and we need to remember that that's a core role that the TV plays. But I think a combination, what's really interesting to us is combining our OS data with the panel-based data so that we can create a really new and quite unique viewpoint for advertisers that includes brand uplift as well as attribution. And for me, that's our core approach, and one of the reasons why we're working with you guys as well to forge that.
So we are running out of time, but before we do, Ty, just to get your perspective on that. So there's an attribution versus branding position there from both of our other panelists. What do you see in the market? What do buyers want in that space? Can you paint a picture of what you think the next 3 years looks like there? I know that's hard, but
I don't think I can really add a hell of a lot more than what has already been said. I think the key things is there's going to be fusion between what has been the historical sort of panel-based measurement and overlaid with people who have deep insights to ad exposure at granular level, show level, and providing that visibility to ultimately the brand. That level of transparency and the speed of that provision of data to the buy side, I think, is increasingly important, because what they're looking to do is to feed that into a far quicker approach to how they optimize spend over multiple different channels, whether that's social video, whether that's traditional linear, whether that's addressable television as we're talking about here, whether that's offline related data sales. I think it's the speed of measurement is becoming really, really important. And I know we've historically had the sort of concept of overnights, etc., but then the scrutiny that then is applied to that would often take a post-campaign analysis report, and I think that's gone those days. And I think the speed of data provision into sort of insights platforms is really what at least we're hearing from the more sophisticated brands, agencies in the marketplace.
Okay, so I think I'm just going to quickly sum up on behalf of everyone there that there's a lot of work to do is what we're really saying. There's a lot of opportunity.
But there's some reality about what's happening today, though. I don't think we should look past that. The opportunity today is huge.
Before we wrap with the final question, does anyone have any questions in the audience? Anything burning? Anyone want to challenge me on buying things on your TV? I'm going to ask that question again next year. All right, then. So let's finish with our panel. If there's no questions, one quick fire question for each of you. What's the thing you're most excited by in the next 12 months in this space that we've been talking about this morning? Starting with you, Jörg.
To be honest, there's one thing which is really exciting me and us on Magenta TV in the next 12 months, and that's the World Cup to come next year. That's the main event next year for our whole product, and we have a lot of ideas to also push advertising with this event. Doing cross-media campaigns, not only on the device but also off the device, combining the app, everything what I tried to explain a little bit, starting the discussion. We are happy to discuss with all the advertisers that have interest in this innovative use cases, and bring the brand onto our platform.
Yeah, that's super exciting. It's a great piece of content. Looking forward to seeing it on your platform. Joe?
Well, I'm excited and slightly nervous about the work that we have to do. We've just announced a brilliant partnership with Vestel, so we're on a large number of new devices now. Our proposition to retailers, I think, is what's exciting me most, because we are combining the data and every day learning more and more about customer behaviour and what's relevant for advertisers. So for me, that's a major opportunity across Europe. Brilliant.
And Ty?
Yeah, I think it's quite simple for me. It's supporting both our partners on the panel today, but really it's the fusion between, I think, what has always been the streamed opportunity on the television, but actually now increasingly with the impact of it being the largest device in the home that everybody sees. So the fusion between the homepage capabilities and the streamed environment, I think, is an immediate term opportunity for brands, and bringing that to market at scale, I think, is super exciting.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for your time this morning. Hope you found that enjoyable. Please give a round of applause to our panel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No questions because it's too hot, I guess. But it was good.